Deep in the mountains lay a forgotten village called Black Hollow. No one dared to visit it anymore. The few who had ventured there returned with haunted eyes, whispering about the curse that had claimed the village years ago. The legend told of a dark spirit that wandered the streets after sundown, searching for souls to drag into the shadows. A group of curious friends, Sarah, Mike, Emma, and Jack, decided to investigate the village for themselves. They'd heard the stories growing up, but none of them truly believed in curses. Armed with flashlights and cameras, they set out on a late autumn afternoon, determined to debunk the myth. By the time they arrived, the sun was already setting, casting long shadows over the crumbling houses. The village looked deserted, as if it had been abandoned for decades. Weeds grew over the cobblestone streets, and the windows of the houses were dark, some broken, their wooden frames rotting. "Looks like no one's been here in years," Sarah muttered, her voice uneasy as they walked deeper into the village. Emma shivered. "This place gives me the creeps. Are we sure we want to be here after dark?" But Mike, always the skeptic, laughed. "Come on, it's just a story. There's no curse, no ghost. Let's check out the main square. Maybe take a few photos." They reached the village square, where an old well stood in the center. Its stones were covered in moss, and the bucket that once drew water hung crookedly from the rotting beam. A strange, cold wind seemed to blow only through the square, even though the surrounding trees were still. As the group began snapping pictures, Jack noticed something unusual on the well. "Hey, look at this." He pointed to a set of deep scratches carved into the stone, forming a strange symbol that none of them recognized. The lines were jagged, as if whatever had made them had done so with great force. Before anyone could respond, they heard it. A distant, echoing sound. It was soft at first, like the wind howling through the trees. But as it grew louder, they realized it wasn't the wind. It was a low, guttural moan. "Did you guys hear that?" Sarah whispered, her flashlight trembling in her hand. Emma nodded, her face pale. "We should leave. Now." But Mike, ever defiant, shook his head. "It's just the wind. Let's go check out one of the houses. We didn't come all this way just to leave because of a sound." Reluctantly, the group followed him to the nearest house. The door creaked open with an eerie groan, and inside the air was stale and heavy. Dust covered everything: the floor, the furniture, the shattered remains of a mirror hanging crookedly on the wall. As they explored the house, the strange moaning sound grew louder. It was coming from outside now, circling the building. Emma's heart raced. She turned to Sarah, panic in her voice. "We need to go. This is wrong. Something's out there." Suddenly, Jack's flashlight flickered and then died. He cursed under his breath, fumbling for his phone to use as a light. But as soon as the beam from Sarah's flashlight swept over him, they all froze. Standing in the broken mirror was not Jack's reflection, but a figure. A dark, shadowy figure with hollow eyes, staring directly at them. Sarah screamed and Jack stumbled back. The figure in the mirror moved, slowly raising its hand, pointing directly at Jack, as if marking him. Without thinking, they bolted for the door, the low moaning now deafening, surrounding them from all sides. They could hear footsteps, heavy, slow, and deliberate, pounding behind them as they ran through the village square.